I'm going to need you to be prepared to tune in to Momming with Melanin, the Black Mom's Perspective. Hey girl, listen, moms are everyone's person. Baby mama drama, we're talking about parenting versus new school parenting, baby fever, how not to lose yourself when you have a baby. With me, Angie P. Black Mom's Perspective. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Momming with Melanin, the Black Mom's Perspective. I'm your host, Angie P. Hey y'all. So I just want to do a brief check-in. How are the moms doing? How are the dads doing? How is everyone doing on this parenting journey? Because it is hard, okay? Are you taking time for yourself? Are you applying some type of self-care mechanism? What is going on? Parents that are married, date night, some alone time. I'm just checking in, making sure you guys are doing things like that because we do need a break and to reset. It helps us with parenting, right? We're better. As for myself and my husband, we actually let our daughter stay away for more than 18 hours. She spent some time with her aunt and her cousins, and I was sick, okay? Like, extremely overwhelmed. My daughter's never been away from me, and she's like a little lady, guys. Like, she advocates for herself. She speaks very well. She's 2. She will let you know if something is not right, if she needs something. So I wasn't worried. And my sister, like, she helped raise me. She's amazing. But emotionally, I was just like, oh my God, even my husband. But it was necessary. We went on a date. We went skating. It was hilarious watching my husband try to skate. And just having some us time. We haven't had that in about 2 years. So it was a blessing. So I just hope you guys are doing the same. I didn't realize until we did it, like, how important it is, how refreshing it is. I just have that time with my husband. So it was amazing. And that transitions us into today's subject as well, with parenting. So my question is old school parenting the way? Yes or no? I'm going to say no. And I'm also going to explain to you guys what I do different as a parent. Everyone is different. But I will say old school parenting isn't necessarily the way. Growing up with an old school Southern single mom was very challenging. As I said, you guys know I'm the baby of my siblings. It's 4 of us. I'm the baby. And my older siblings are significantly older. My 2 older sisters, it's like a 10-year gap. So, they practically helped raise me. And our household was a little different traditionally because I had to respect everyone in the house. Like, if my sister's telling me to do something, I have to respond just like my mom is telling me to do something. So it was very different. And I know my story is not necessarily unique because I know a lot of families that have that gap. But I also knew when I had children that I wanted to take a different approach to parenting. I believe that the way you approach parenting definitely affects your relationship with your children. And that is something that just happens forever, right? So growing up, I felt like I couldn't question decisions or it would seem challenging to my mom. This is not uncommon. Especially for Black moms, right? Because if it seemed challenging, it was considered disrespectful, right? If you're asking too many questions, it's considered disrespectful. And it made our relationship sometimes feel like that worker-boss relationship where it's like, do as I say, not as I do. We've heard those things. And it's like, yo, but I have questions. Can I ask why? And with Black mamas, like after a couple why, it's sit your ass down and leave me alone. So that did feel difficult growing up, asking questions about certain decisions and wanting explanations because you had to be very cautious about how you asked my mom, like, why do I have to do something? Because as I said, it seemed, kind of like defiance and not inquisitiveness. So yeah, that's where we were. So I knew I wanted to allow my daughter that space to explore. So even now at 2, she's like, why? I explain, I allow her to have choices. I had this discussion with my sister and even with her children, I'm like, it's so amazing to watch these young kids that can tell you what they want to do, how they want to accomplish it, and just map out everything. And I feel like that happens because as we're teaching our children, we're giving them options. I remember as a kid, it was eat what's in front of you and that's it. I try to give my daughter options like, hey, do you want rice or do you want noodles? Do you want chicken or do you want turkey? And I honestly wish I had more choices growing up. I say that because I feel like with more choices, it leads to less indecisiveness. And I see it already in my daughter, where she can tell you like, hey, Mom, I want muffins. Dad, I want eggs. And she gets it, she eats it, and she's like, thank you. But she's very decisive already. So that old school parenting of I'm making the decisions, I'm telling you what to do, I feel like it has affected a lot of children as we grow older, where we're so indecisive, like, well, what do I choose? What is my career path? What do I want for my family? And then you also have to question, because that old school parenting is that I'm making the choices for you, you wonder if your child then makes decisions based on what they want or based on what the parents want. I never want my daughter to feel like she has to make choices to please me. You have to live with the decisions and the choices you make. So don't do it to please me. Do it so you're pleased, you're happy, you're confident in your choices. And yeah, that's on you. So that is one thing I feel like growing up, the inability to challenge your parents, the inability to ask questions regarding decisions made, especially to my Black Southern mama, was deemed disrespectful, and it affected the way I chose things as an adult, where I was always indecisive or kind of mom pleasing in a way, so as I said, old school parenting is not necessarily the way. And this is one of the things that I believe kind of affects your child when you apply that do as I say, not as I do mentality. That old school thinking that the kid can't challenge you, the kid can't ask questions, that affects them later on because it leads to an indecisive child. It leads to a child that's unable to advocate for themselves as an adult, right? And I think that's an issue that some people have as an adult. Like, am I making the choices for me or am I trying to please mom and dad? I knew I wanted to approach things differently because that challenging, that asking questions, just simple questions. Hey, Mom, why do I have to do this? It was considered challenging. So I knew I wanted to approach things differently, and I wanted to apply gentle parenting techniques and conscious parenting techniques. So as I said, I allow my daughter to explore. I allow her to ask questions and have her tantrums. She's 2, and I also help her understand all of her emotions. So we've been working on breathing. She does have a mean streak, and we're working on sharing. And as I said, I try not to scream and shout or any of those things, but let's not get confused. Gentle and conscious parenting is not easy because children are just small humans with emotions as well. So, certain things like you're not about to hit, you're not kicking, we're not doing that in this house. So sis, if that means you might get popped, you might get popped because there's some things I'm not going to let you endanger yourself. I'm not going to let you hurt people, but for the most part, we do the gentle parenting, the conscious parenting, and, apply those techniques. But most importantly, we just love on her and we love her so much. And we explain that, we communicate that, we make it very clear. And it shows because she's super loving and very friendly. I feel like that old school parenting approach also often lacked that tangible expression of love. I hear a lot of people say, and I have a Caribbean dad and a Southern mom, that they didn't hear the I love you or get enough hugs. And my mom is not a big hugger or kisser. Even my siblings are not big on hugging and kissing. And I'm like the annoying baby sibling that's like hugging everybody, kissing on everybody. And my daughter is the same way. My husband is not even big on it, but he's big on it now because he is me and he has his baby girl. So we're very affectionate in our household. And I love that because even when it's not said, I want you to feel that love. I never want my daughter to be like, you didn't hug me enough, because those are things that we can do, immediately. Just express that love. I want you to feel it. I want you to know home. I want you to know home is a safe space. I want you to feel it. You are our baby, our child. We love you. And similar to God, like there's nothing you can do that will make me not love you anymore, right? Like my body, my mind went through a whole process so you can come here. There's nothing you can do that will take that away. So, as I said, old school parenting approach, I feel like a lot of parents felt that, hey, I go to work, I pay the bills, you have a roof over your head, you have food in the fridge, that's love. That is not love. That is an obligation, right? That's just what you do because I didn't ask to come here as a child. I didn't ask to be born, but since I'm here, you are obligated to take care of me. The bare necessities. But that is not an expression of love. So, as I said, my approach is very different. Every day, I tell my daughter multiple times a day that I love her. We give kisses, we give hugs, where, that's just us. I knew my parenting approach, I wanted to make sure she felt that love. We hug every day. Before she leaves for daycare, she's giving me a kiss and a hug. We have that expression of love daily. And as I said, that may not happen with that old school parenting approach. And then you get these children that grow up to be that have trouble expressing themselves, that have trouble showing emotion, especially Black men. Showing your emotion is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you weak. It's okay to cry. It's okay. Like it's okay to love your woman, all of those things. So, having that tangible expression of love just makes it very possible for this child to grow up into an adult that is okay with expressing their emotions, even if that means the workplace, even if that means in, other institutions. It is okay to express yourself. And as a Black and brown woman or man, it is okay to do it in a professional manner as well. It is okay to do it in a professional place. It is okay to express yourself in the workplace or anywhere else. If you crying, it's okay to cry. That means you care. That doesn't make you an angry Black woman or, an emotional Black woman. Don't let anyone play that card. Just expressing that love on a daily basis will make her, in my opinion, more confident going forward with expressing herself as an adult. But that's just different from old school parenting. Now, lastly, as I said, with old school parenting, the whoopings, y'all. We're going to get to the whoopings. Here is the issue I have with the whoopings and the spankings. Now, as I told you, if my daughter's doing something dangerous, you're trying to touch the stove, something like that, you're going to get a pow pow. And we call a pow pow a little pop on the hand. That is not to hurt her. We use fingers, not a whole hand on a kid. That is just the, hey, look, this is dangerous, just to shock her a bit away from the stove, away from danger. Now, this old school, get the belt, beatings, like I've seen my father whip my brother with a belt, like just that kind of thing is a whole slave mentality, and I'm not doing it. And there has been so much research that shows that spankings and whoopings don't work. So I'm not doing that. Like I said, if it's some type of danger and I can't just move you or what have you, or you're constantly doing something dangerous, then you'll get a pow pow. Am I going to grab you and shake you and, whip you? And no, we're not doing those things because you're not a slave. And it doesn't work. People assume that when you do the gentle parenting approach or the conscious parenting approach, it means being a pushover. No. I'm not a pushover parent. My daughter is disciplined. My daughter can express herself. She knows when I say stop to stop. When I say go sit down to sit down. She listens very well. She responds very well. And when I explain stuff to her, she understands it. And that leads to us not whipping her. We explain things to her and we take time with her. I think it was Tia or Tamara Mallory that said, like, spanking your child is lazy parenting. I don't necessarily think it's lazy parenting, but I think it's frustration. And this is where I go back to saying that when we choose to parent, whatever insecurities you have, whatever trauma you have, when you become a parent, those things surface. So you have to make sure you're constantly doing the work. So that anger of, oh, they're not listening, let me just hit them, that's not okay. And then you guys know last week we discussed the baby mama, baby daddy drama. I feel like sometimes when we see these parents, one thing that pisses me off is to watch a mom or a dad like curse and yell at a kid like they're an adult. Like, you're using profanity with a child, you're yelling at them like they're the father, and that is that anger. Your anger is not directed at the child, it's directed at the parent, the other parent. Or you have the frustrated mom. And I understand we all get frustrated. We get tired. I'm frustrated sometimes. And that's okay. But I'd rather just be like, well, let me put my daughter in her booster seat, put her to the table. You're going to color. I'm going to go take a minute. But the yelling, the shouting, the cursing at them, that is the most disgusting thing. It just triggers me. It makes me so angry. Like, I don't know what issues you have, but as a parent, that's not okay. So you have to do the work. I don't agree with that. And then I feel like, as I said, with co-parenting, sometimes you have women and men that feel like, the other parent left me with this responsibility. I'm overwhelmed. I'm angry at your other parent that left. I'm doing everything by myself. The least you can do is listen. Honey, you're talking to a child. What child is going to listen? And always listen. That is not going to happen. So you have to make sure you're doing the work as a parent as well. And I feel like our old school parents didn't have the patience for that. So it may not have been necessarily lazy parenting, but it is impatient parenting where it's like, I say it, you do it, that's it. But we're talking about children, right? Their attention span is different. So they'll do it once and then you're like, okay, let me go back to doing what I did before. So that doesn't give you reason to spank them. That gives you a reason to remind them. That's just my opinion. Like I said, there's no perfect way to parent, but you can parent without physically harming your child, right? You can parent without being physical with your child. That is very possible. As I said, that is why the gentle parenting is my approach. The conscious parenting is my approach, because you can do so and you don't have to get physical. I don't want my daughter to think it's okay to hit people. Now, you are going to learn, because your mother is me, you're going to learn that if somebody hits you, you're going to tear that ass up. But you're not going to, just physically harm people unwarranted. We're not doing that. And I'm not going to do it to her. So that's just my approach to it. You guys know her dad is a little softer. He's a little pushover. He gives her more grace, but I will take my time and handle her. And if that means taking away all the toys you like, taking away your show, your tablet, and, those things, that is my disciplined approach, and it works for her. Every child is different. Everything that you do may not work. So it's a trial and error thing, but it shouldn't be a physical thing you do. So this is where I conclude that old school parenting is definitely not the way, in my opinion. And that's just because our parents were doing what they knew, right? Caribbean, Southern parents, history of slavery, so you think beating your child into submission is parenting. Forcing your child not to challenge you is parenting, because I'm big, you're small. I'm the adult, you're the child. You listen and that's it. But guess what? As my daughter grows older, I want her to know, you can ask me stuff. You can challenge me. You can express yourself to me. Why do you feel that what I'm saying is incorrect? Why do you feel the way you feel? What are your opinions? You're entitled to your opinion, and you're entitled to respectfully express them. That door of communication, I want to try to always keep that open with my child as she grows. And we didn't have that door with old school parenting. We didn't necessarily always have that door, especially with single parents. As I said, they get overwhelmed, so it can be just the do it, I said it, do it, and just that's it. But anywho, once again, my approach is different from old school parenting because each child is different and they respond, behave, and process things very differently. So you have to make sure you're finding the parenting approach that works for you and your child, not just the child, but that works for you and the child. If you're an impatient parent, if you're not an expressive parent, if you're not a talkative parent, you have to find an approach that works best for you and the child, where the child can receive and respond and where you can express what you need to express as well to keep that parenting-child relationship very healthy. It's not easy. One thing we have to make sure we're doing as moms, as dads, is not comparing your parenting to anyone else's. I am a good mother and I am my daughter's mother. No one else can be her mother but me. That's it. No one else can be her father but her dad. That's it. We are learning what works for her, as every parent should learn what works for their child. Now, I'm not comparing the way I parent my child to the way Beyonce parents her child. We're two different people with two different sets of resources, okay? So I'm not going to compare. You also have to remember we're in an age where with social media, Instagram and TikTok and all of these different entities, people are not showing, those moments where they're overwhelmed or they're, dealing with a challenging kid or, a tantrum. You're not going to see that posted. You're going to see the matching outfits and we're outside playing in the snow and we're doing this and we're doing that. So you're not going to see full transparency necessarily on social media. So don't look at this mom, that dad, whoever else and compare it to what you're doing. Instead, put the phone down and just focus on your child. Zero in on your child and consider what may work for them. And guess what? If you can't do that, there are a lot of parenting coaches. I know a lot of coaches that can help with that relationship, mother-daughter relationships, father-son relationships, counselors, doctors, a lot of resources that I know. So if you do need help with that, reach out to me. I'll definitely help. I want to know, what is your take on old school parenting? And when I say old school parenting, I'm talking about parents that were born in the 50s, 60s, those types of parents. What is your take on that? Because I know back then the baby boomer parents, right? They had a lot more children. First of all, things were a lot cheaper back then. So they had 4, 5, 6 children. And it was a lot. It was overwhelming. I know a lot of people that come from larger families now that were like, I was the older sibling and I didn't have kids because I had to help take care of the other children. And that's just my opinion. Is the old school parenting approach is not necessarily the way. I also feel like old school parenting, when these families did have those large number of children, the oldest child suffered and silently suffered at that because they are the ones helping with the other children. And we may still see that now, just parents that have 5, 6 children. You don't have grandma, grandpa, any other resources around. So this older child that's, let's say 15, you're helping me with the 3, the 4, the 5-year-old. And I understand you need the help, but I also feel like it's unfair to that child because they're missing out on their childhood. Maybe sometimes they need to get other resources, right? Get a nanny, get a someone that can help with childcare, just so this teenage child can be a teenager. I feel like that old school approach also, people would always be like, oh, this child thinks they're grown. They think they're this, they think they're that. But guess what? As a parent, we still have to check ourselves. You cannot say that this 16-year-old thinks they're grown when you're giving them grown responsibilities. You're giving them adult responsibilities. Why am I 16 and I got to change Ray Ray's diapers, take Pookie to daycare, then go to school myself, do my homework, come home, make dinner? Like, come on. That has happened so often in old school parenting, and it may happen now. As I said, you have to be fair in parenting. So make sure all of your children are getting everything they need. And I don't think it's fair to put responsibilities on an older child to take care of their other siblings. That, at the end of the day, we choose to have children. This is our children that didn't ask to come here, and we are responsible for them. Their other siblings are not responsible for them. I'm not saying the older sibling can't watch their younger sibling. I'm not saying they can't have a routine where it's like, okay, you come from school, you pick the baby up from school. That's fine. But we have to be cautious of not giving the older children a hefty amount of responsibility to take care of the younger children, because they're still children as well, and they need to enjoy their life. So we just have to be cautious with that approach. Every child, as I said, needs something different. And old school parenting, I don't think there was a lot of work done, interior work. The parents were so busy providing, and okay, I work, I pay the bills, I do this, I do that, but you're not doing the internal work. Are you expressing love? Are you taking time to parent properly? Or are you just yelling, shouting, and screaming your head off and beating the kid, into submission? That is not okay. So as for me, old school parenting approach of not allowing your child to advocate, not allowing your child to ask challenging questions, not allowing them to be emotional, not expressing tangible love and hugs and kissing and telling them you love them, and spankings. That old school approach, which those types of things happen often in old school parenting, that is not okay, and that doesn't work. So now my approach is gentle parenting, allowing my daughter to advocate for herself, to communicate the things she wants, providing choices to her, speaking with her, loving on her, hugs and kisses and all of those things. And as I said, occasionally, if it's some crazy, dangerous thing she's doing, like trying to do her flips off of my couch, she may get a 2-finger pop, but it's never going to be like a spanking with a belt or a shoe or any of those crazy things that these Caribbean parents have done. And some of you may still do. So this is my chance of saying, check yourself. You can still be effective in parenting and not take that approach, because it is scientifically known to not work. Now, if you are interested in conscious parenting, if you're interested in gentle parenting, there are a few books I can recommend, a few resources. Definitely reach out. Once again, I'll help you guys out with that. And I close by saying, old school parenting is not the way. Don't do what y'all mamas did. Don't do what your daddy did. Your child is different. They're a person, not property. So we're going to treat them like people, right? Do not compare your parenting. Now, it is okay. We're parents, but we're human. We get emotional. I'm trying gentle parenting and conscious parenting, but I promise you, at least twice a month, I might yell. I might shout. And that's okay too, because I'm still human. And then I'll woosah, and I go back to my gentle and conscious parenting, because one thing my daughter will know as she grows is mommy is not perfect. So we have to make sure that we are giving ourselves grace. Okay, in everything we do, because as the child is growing and learning, we are too. Let me know what you guys think. What is your approach to parenting? Do you do conscious parenting? Do you do gentle parenting? Do you scream, shout, yell? What do you do? What works for you? I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear how you approach parenting. I want to hear your techniques, your style. Let me know. Leave me a voicemail, 347-719-3350. And remember, just because the content stops doesn't mean the conversation has to. Follow the CWF Network on Instagram at CWFP_, and follow me at Momming with Melanin. And remember, give yourself grace. Momming is a marathon, not a race. I've been your host, Angie, and I'll chat with you guys next.
This is the CWF Network, where we bring you big content in small pieces. Follow us on Instagram at CWFP_. Okay, bye.